What's going on, everybody? Today I am going to be covering how to beautify not only your code but also your VS editor for a more pleasing and productive experience for React development. The first thing that we have here is a demo of what we are going to be building. So my VS Code has already been themed with all the extensions that I want to use to make it look better, as well as the color theme that I want. And the other thing that we are going to see that I have automatic formatting set to true here, so that when I save, you see that the editor has made some changes for me. And we're also going to see some problems here in the terminal tab, where it's going to tell us the issues that we have based on ESLint, AirBnB, and we're using Prettier to auto format all this stuff. So the other thing we're going to show you is how to use some snippets so that we have rapid development with some of these code snippets. It allows you to, for example, create these React blocks of codes that we are seeing, and combined with ESLint again and Prettier, and making sure that you turn on your editor's format on save, we are able to save your files and see Prettier making those changes for us. So let's get into it. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a new Create React app, and we are going to use a tool provided by NPM called NPX. Now this tool is installed with NPM 5.2 and later, so I'm going to assume that most of you guys have this installed. So just go ahead and type NPX and then Create React App. And then we want to give it a name. So let's call this CRA for Create React App / sample. And let's go ahead and run that. All right. And now that that is done, let's go ahead and CD into that project and open it up with code. And here's what we have. We have our Create React App sample code. And we have a yarn file, a package.json file, which comes from the Create React App package. And then we have the source with this app file, an index file, etc., what you expect from a Create React app. Now, if you can see here, VS Code has gotten a lot better about this over the years, as far as I remember, with regards to these icons for the types of files. We're going to install our own package, which I believe has better icons. But the first thing that we want to do is let's go ahead and go to the extensions, and we want to search for Atom 1 Dark. And this is the theme that I'm going to be installing. It's one of my favorite themes. For this is a matter of taste. If you're someone who likes a light theme, or someone who likes something darker or something more colorful, you want to change the text, etc., make this your thing. Make it something that is enjoyable to your eyes, pleasing to the eyes. This is one that is very pleasing to my eyes, so this is what I'm going with. But choose whatever is best for you. I think it's important to have an environment where you feel, whether it's zen or energized. Install whatever theme you think works well for you. And now the second theme that we are going to install is called Material Icon Theme. So let's go ahead and also install that. And now if we go back to our project and we look at these icons, I think they stand out more. They're a little cooler. The yarn one looks better. The JSON packages for Node looks better, as well as this git ignore. And you know, this is something that everyone should start with. Just modify this editor to have your look and whatever you consider to be something that you're going to be productive with. What we're going to do next is we are going to set up ESLint to work with Prettier and the AirBnB style guide. So let's go ahead and install everything that needs to be installed with regards to that for extensions as well as node packages. So let's go ahead and open up the terminal so that we can install that. And I like using yarn. If you use NPM, it's going to be slightly different command, but pretty much they're all the same. Instead of add, you're going to do install or -i, whatever you're used to with NPM. So let's go ahead and install those. Now we can go ahead and go to our package.json file, and let's see when those are installed. And there we are. We have ESLint 7.7. That version might be different for you. for all of these packages depending on when you are watching this video. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to install ESLint package for AirBnB so that all these things can work together. So let's take a quick look at that and find the command that we're going to run. We're going to run this npx install peerdeps ESLint config Airbnb line right here. And what that's going to do is it's going to install this ESLint plugin import as well as ESLint plugin React, ESLint plugin React hooks, and JSX Alley. And because we're using React, we are okay with installing this. So let's go back and run that command, and we should see some new packages pop up here in our dev dependencies. And I am using Yarn, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say yes. And there we are. We see those new packages installed, and now we can move forward. So since we have those packages installed, we now want to go back to our extensions tab, and we want to install ESLint because we're going to need that for VSCode. And we're also going to need to install Prettier. So let's go ahead and add that too. And there we go. Both of those have been installed. Now let's go back to our code and quickly take a look at what we are getting. We currently have nothing here. I am looking at the problems tab because this is where they are going to pop up. But because we have not configured any of the files that we need to configure, we are not seeing any of the errors or any of the warnings that are going to come from this package. So let's go ahead and set that up. The first thing that we want to set up is the ESLint RC JSON file. So let's go ahead and create that. And we're going to want to include a couple of things in here. We are going to have a JSON object. What we want to do is have 3 different keys here in this JSON object. And the first one is going to be extends. And what we want to extend is the Airbnb package as well as the Prettier one. And to follow that, we also want to tell it that we have a plugins list, which is going to include in this case the Prettier plugin. And then finally we have our rules. And in here we are going to have an object, and the first thing that we want to do is we want to tell it with regards to the rules that for Prettier related messages, we want you to give us an error. Now I can change this to warning, or it can be none, or you can just delete this line. But if we're going to actually use Pretty, we want some sort of message telling us that there's something that the plugin is looking at and is telling us that it needs to be changed. So let's go ahead and add that. And again, we want this to be an error. In your case, you might want that to be a warning. And then the next thing that we want to do is we want React JSX to be also a valid file name extension. So that is what we're going to add here. And this is going to be an array. The first parameter is just the 1. And then we have an object with extensions. And we tell it that we want both the .js files as well as the .jsx files. And then we're going to save that, and immediately you see that now we're starting to see some errors. So let's go to our app.js file and take a look at what some of these errors are. So create React app creates these imports with single quotes, and currently ESLint is set to have double quotes, and so it's giving us this error to say to replace the single quotes around React with double quotes, and the same thing for the logo import and the app import. So this is where Prettier comes in. We want to sort of change or override some of the things based on what we like. So let's go ahead and add that Prettier RC file so that we can make those overriding changes. And this is also going to take an object, and in here we want to say that we want single quote to be true. So after we save that file, we can see that those single quote errors have gone away. However, if we decide that we want to change these to double quotes, that error should pop back up, and we see it here immediately. Now, one thing that we can do is we can set our editor VSCode to actually auto format and correct these issues on save. So let's go ahead and go to our settings file. And what we want to do is search. Let me look at the actual object. What we want to do here is add editor.format on save, and we want to set that to true. Now, once we go back to this file, we're still seeing this issue here with the double quotes needing to be replaced with single quotes. But the moment that I save, you see that that goes away. So this is going to autocorrect a lot of the Prettier settings that we set up. So this error here, let's just get rid of it. It's telling us to put this on a new line, and that gets rid of one error. And then we do the same thing here, and it's all working fine. We now have set up the ESLint with Prettier as well as the AirBnB style guide, and we're ready to move on. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go back to the extensions tab, and we are going to add the ES7 React Redux, GraphQL, etc. And we're going to add that extension in because it gives us some nifty shortcuts. Let me close this out, and one that I'm looking for specifically, let's just scroll down to where we have the component ones. One that I like to use is this RFCE one. So let's go ahead and check that out and put it to good use. Let's remove everything in this file and type in RFCE, and then you see it starts to give you these options. If you press tab here, it's going to create that for you. And now, based on the file name here, which is pretty nifty, it creates a function with the name of that file for you. And we have a couple of errors here, so let's go ahead and see what those look like. All right, it's telling us to insert semicolons because we have that set. If we didn't want semicolons, that's something that we can turn off. And also here, I need to add something here, or else it's going to complain about an empty tag. So that removed a lot of those issues. Again, because we turned off this setting here, editor format on save, once I press save, it added those semicolons here, as well as here, as well as here, and all of those went away. So let's just go ahead and remove those again. You can see we have those 3 errors, and if I press save, it adds that semicolon to all of those, and now we have this fully functioning and working, and it's awesome. So again, if you want to take a look at a lot of those snippets, you can just go through the file here. And you can also go to the website and figure out they have a bunch of different things for React. They have basic methods, they have lifestyle components, they have hooks, etc. They have things for Redux, prop types. They have a bunch, and that is one of those things that can speed up your workflow drastically if you are able to sort of combine a list of these commands that you want to use over and over again. It will make writing code a lot easier and make you more efficient and faster. So the last thing that we want to do is let's go ahead and open up the terminal again, and we are going to install style components. Yarn add styled components. And let's take a look at our package.json file. And now we see that, let's see, in our dependency, we see styled components. So let's go ahead and import that. Import styled from styled components. Let's add a space here. Let's create a cons called style button. And now we can use styled and tell it that we want to create a button, and we need to use backticks here. And then in here, we can write regular CSS. So let's give this a background color of red. Let's give it some padding. And let's give it a text color of yellow, just so that we have some contrast. And now we can use this in here. All right, so now we can run yarn start, and let's see what that looks like. And it's opening that up for us on localhost 3000. And there we have our button. A really ugly button with red background and yellow text and the obsessive padding. But you get the point. We can use style components and we get all the syntax highlighting that we need for that. Let's take a quick look at what happens if we turn that off. Yeah, you can see here, inside here, the syntax highlighting for the CSS, which is what we're writing, native CSS inside of this style button. It just looks off when you do that. So let's go ahead and install that or enable that back again. And now we have our correct syntax highlighting and everything looks great. So with that being said, guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that I provided some type of value for your development needs or your editor needs, etc. And I hope that this is a video that you can reference to get something done and be productive, as well as beautifying not only your code, but your editor as well. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you found some value in this video, please hit the like button, as well as consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you are notified every time I create a new video. So again, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.